Since the ancient times, honey and pollen gathered by bees have been used by humans for food. Propolis, royal jelly, wax, and even bees' poison have been used in medicine. From historians we know that the body of Alexander the Great, who died in Babylon, was preserved in bee honey for a long period of time. Since the time of Egyptian pharaohs, the image of the bee has been used as a symbol of connection with the highest blessings of God and the sacred knowledge of the secrets of creation. In the Bible, honey is mentioned 61 times. Ancients knew more about the medicinal use of honey than we do now, although today bee products are used to cure many diseases. Honey possesses a unique ability to restore the normal work of all systems and organs of the human body. Here I open the hive, and the energy of life is flowing to me. I feel it. I breathe it. Look, all the frames are full. The bees even stored honey on top of the frame. This is a generous gift to man from nature. You don't need to plow and to sow here. Just put up the hive, and the bees will bring you gold. This is a purest natural product, all for free. You're able to take it and not harm nature. Bees are very wise creatures. They can live without a man. This wooden hive with frames was created by humans for collecting honey. In nature, bees would live in a hollow of a tree. There they store honey to feed and raise bees. As scientists have discovered, bees lived on the earth millions of years before humans, and they were fine. Without bees, we wouldn't have such a variety of flora and fauna on our planet. But today, we have a new situation. Bees are dying and disappearing without any trace.
Canada had very high losses. They had about, on average, the same losses we did. And we're seeing this story played out everywhere. We're seeing it in Europe, we're seeing it in Brazil, we're seeing it in Ecuador, we're getting reports out of Asia. So clearly something is fundamentally wrong with bee health. And call it what you want, we have to address this need. We need bees to produce food.
Such a big and unexpected loss triggered lots of attention from scientists and researchers in many countries. But the most alarming impact has been felt in the USA.
In 2006, we had a very large Pennsylvania beekeeper, one of our largest beekeepers, and he had 3,000 colonies, which he described as boiling over with bees. And as he does every year, he moved those bees from Pennsylvania to Florida. And when he returned to those bees, about a month and a half later, he found 2,000 of 3,000 colonies were dead. And that was a very high loss, and that happened really quickly. And when I was doing dissections, I was looking for a specific organism, and we didn't find it at numbers, but we found all sorts of scar tissue and other damage in these bees. And so it was like an autopsy of these bees. As we did these autopsies, it was like CSI, that we found all sorts of different things. And it was clear to us, or it seemed very clear to us, that the immune system of the bees had somehow become dysfunctional, that something was wrong with their immune system, and this made them susceptible to this whole host of other fungus and bacteria and bee diseases that normally a healthy colony would be able to prevent.
Alexander feels that one of the reasons for this decline is related to a lost balance between man and nature. All living beings on our planet are related, but some of human activities could destroy these relationships and lead to disappearance of some forms of life. And that, in turn, could have an effect on the entire biological cycle of the planet. Bees are dying because of man's action. First example, feeding bees with sugar syrup. Some businessmen produce so-called honey this way. It is fake, but cheap and quick. Bees are getting sick from it. Men are giving them antibiotics and more antibiotics until finally their immune system fails and they are dying. Another reason, genetically modified plants. They are not giving seeds. They are not reproducing themselves. Every year, farmers must buy new seeds to plant. Yes, it was made to control farmers, but let's see how it affects the bees. GM plants do not have nectar, which is food for bees, so they have lost their source for living. Now, GMP have pollen, which is spreading to wild plants and poisoning them. They are mutating too. This is the way the GMP affects some insects and animals, so they could lose their reproduction ability. All living creatures on Earth may be in danger. Research on the long-term effects of genetically modified products on human health is still inconclusive, and the impact that it's having on bees is still being studied. One of the questions is whether modified products which are targeted towards specific species have a spillover effect, which is adding to the range of stresses on a wide range of insects, including honeybees.
The particularly risky genetically modified crop is BT corn, or where they've added a gene which allows the plant to produce this protein called BT. This product is very, very selective for the organism it's targeted for. So for instance, BT usually works against caterpillars, things that will become butterflies or moths. And how it works is it breaks down the lining of the insect's stomach, and that means that the normal healthy bacteria that are in the stomach of that bacteria seep out into the insect's blood or hemolymph and gives them blood poisoning, and it kills them. Because if it is killing bees, it's killing bees in a way that has not been described before. You know, it's a new way, and so it doesn't seem like a very likely system. And it's not only bees that are in trouble. If we look at native bee populations, we think that 3 species of bumblebees have gone extinct in the last couple of years. And so there's this pattern. So we wanted to look at pathogens. We also wanted to look at these pesticides that either farmers are applying and the bees are bringing back, or that beekeepers are applying to control varroa mites. And third, we wanted to look at something we called environmental stress.
We are now beginning to understand some of the ways our civilization, including industrialized agriculture, is affecting the planet on a global scale. In some instances, we are approaching critical points where major changes can be expected. We could feel it in our economics, climate, and the entire planet's water cycle. Alexander believes that bees are one of those signs, or maybe the last message from Earth to humans, that the changes are at the door. Bees have a perfect sense of premonition. They always feel changes in weather coming. If you learn their behavior, you can predict the weather for tomorrow and the following days. They also could predict natural disasters like earthquakes, floods, and others. So if they feel that something is going to threaten their existence, they could fly away. A famous Bulgarian psychic, Vanga, once said, "The first species to disappear from the earth before major changes are bees." And that is what we are beginning to see now. What we see in Canada is a high level of civilization, but at the same time, it is our way to self-destruction. Artificial foods and an artificial way of life, apart from the land and from nature. When people live in concrete blocks, they block themselves from the information from cosmos, God. so they have no more real connection. But when you live with nature, that connection is open to you. Some people say, our planet is overpopulated. There is not enough food for everybody. That's not true. Look how much food only bees can give you. Honey, pollen, and wax. And it's all free. As I have written in my book, humanity could live without any limitations and there would be enough food for all. But only if you live in connection with nature. If you go in another direction, then there will be problems. In order to survive in Russia, our family moved to the land and we were able to get everything we needed. Fruits, vegetables, honey, and money. Here in Canada, we chose the same direction. Bees and land. Now I can support my family with everything. If I don't have something, we can always trade with my neighbors. Some of them have chickens, cows, sheep, and so on. So I see the land as a base for surviving in any case. The land will never let you down. It will always give you everything you need. Just recently, Alexander built a big new house that he dreamed to have for his grandchildren. Now he's creating a plan for a mixed garden with all the fruits and vegetables needed for their life. And that's what he calls a privilege of a creator. It was our happy decision to come to Canada. Because here we were able to fulfill all our dreams. In Russia, there is an idiom. Every man in his lifetime must plant a tree, build a house, and raise a child. We did it. We planted trees, and not just one, 100. We have got 2 daughters and 2 grandchildren as well, and we have built a house exactly as we dreamed of. And all this time we were working with what we love. My husband loves to work with bees, and I was always helping him in any way I could. If Sasha begins to do something, he does it with all his strength and passion. Working with bees for him is a real pleasure.